Most people spend their entire lives reacting to things they didn't choose. They react to a rude email. They react to a dip in their bank account. They react to a thought that popped into their head at 3 a.m. They think they're in the driver's seat. But if you look closely, there are invisible strings attached to their wrists. Every time the world pulls a string, they move. But there's a small group of people who have cut the strings. They aren't lucky, and they aren't superhuman. They've simply realized that the only territory on this planet they actually own is the space inside their own skin. If you feel like life is happening to you rather than for you, it's because you've left the gates of your kingdom wide open. Today, we're closing those gates. We're going to talk about the 4 specific areas where you must seize absolute control if you want to stop surviving and start standing. We're talking about your words, your thoughts, your emotions, and your resources. Welcome back to Improve Your Mindset. Let's get to work. Before we dive into the pillars, we have to clear out a piece of mental trash that's holding you back. It's the idea that your life is a result of your circumstances. We love the word circumstance because it's a perfect shield. It protects us from the stinging truth of personal responsibility. I'm broke because the economy is bad. I'm angry because my boss is a jerk. I'm stuck because I wasn't born with a silver spoon. Here's the mindset shift. Circumstances are just the weather. You can't stop the rain, but you are the one who decided not to carry an umbrella. Control ain't about changing the weather. It's about becoming the person who can navigate any storm without getting wet. Self-mastery is the ultimate competitive advantage. In an age of distraction, a man or woman who can control their internal state is like a person with a flashlight in a dark cave. Everyone else is bumping into walls, bruised and confused. You're just walking toward the exit. Let's start with the most dangerous tool in your house, your tongue. We think of words as cheap. We say things like I'm just venting or I was only joking. But in the world of mindset, there is no such thing as a cheap word. Every sentence you utter is a contract you're signing with your future self. Your brain is a sophisticated pattern recognition machine. It doesn't know the difference between a joke and a conviction. When you say, I'm always tired, or I'm bad with money, or people always let me down, your brain doesn't argue with you. It says, understood, I will now look for evidence to prove you're right. You are literally narrating your own failure into existence. Think of your words as the GPS coordinates for your subconscious. If you keep typing disaster into the destination bar, don't be surprised when you pull into the driveway of a crisis. Here is your first actionable step. For the next 24 hours, you are forbidden from uttering a single complaint. Not about the weather, not about the traffic, and especially not about yourself. When you do this, you'll realize how much of your social interaction is built on bonding through negativity. We complain to feel relatable. But high-level individuals don't bond over what's wrong. They bond over what's possible. By controlling your mouth, you force your brain to find new ways to communicate. You move from being a problem reporter to a solution architect. Controlling your words also means knowing when to withhold them. Silence is a power move. Most people speak because they are uncomfortable with the silence. They leak information, they gossip, they over-explain their mistakes. When you control your mouth, you become a person of weight. Your words start to have a market value because they are rare. Stop leaking your energy through aimless chatter. Build your fortress in silence, and let your results do the talking. If your words are the architecture of your life, your thoughts are the foundation. The average person has about 6,000 thoughts a day. About 80% of those are negative, and 95% are repetitive. That means most people are trapped in a loop of recycled garbage. They are playing a greatest hits of My Mistakes album on repeat in their head. You have to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Think of your mind like a high-end nightclub. You are the bouncer at the door. Just because a thought shows up and wants to get in doesn't mean you have to let it. Doubt shows up. Check its ID. If it doesn't have a plan for your growth, send it away. Fear shows up. Let it stay in the alleyway. The problem is that most of us are letting every drunk and disorderly thought in the door, and then we wonder why the club is a mess. When a thought like you're going to fail at this presentation pops up, don't fight it. If you fight it, you give it energy. Instead, label it. Say to yourself, I am currently experiencing a thought about failure. By doing this, you create distance. You've moved the thought from your identity to your inventory. It's no longer who you are. It's just a piece of data you're looking at. This is the beginning of mental control. You cannot have an empty mind. If you don't fill your mind with high-quality furniture, the world will fill it with junk. This is why your improve your mindset journey is so critical. You have to feed your mind with the intentionality of a professional athlete. If an Olympic sprinter doesn't eat junk food, why would a high performer eat junk media? If you follow 500 accounts that make you feel inadequate, hit unfollow. The first half hour of your day, when your brain is in a theta state, highly suggestible. If the first thing you do is check the news or social media, you have just handed the keys to your fortress to a stranger. Use those 30 minutes for meditation, reading, or strategic planning. There's an old story about a grandfather telling his grandson about a battle going on inside him. He says, there are two wolves. One is filled with anger, envy, and regret. The other is filled with joy, peace, and courage. The grandson asks, which one wins? The grandfather replies, the one you feed. In the 2026 world, the angry wolf is fed by algorithms and outrage. The courageous wolf is fed by discipline and deep work. You decide who gets the meal today. We've covered the words you speak and the thoughts you think. These are the internal pillars, but mastery is just a mental game. It has to manifest in your physiology and your physical reality. If you're feeling a shift already, it's because you're starting to realize that you are the architect. But a blueprint is useless if the builder is too emotional to pick up a hammer or too broke to buy the wood. In the next section, we are going to dive into the two pillars that most people find the hardest to master: your emotions and your money. These are the external engines. One provides the drive, the other provides the fuel. Now we move into the realm of the invisible heavy lifter, your mood. Most people are thermometers. Their internal temperature is a direct reflection of their environment. If the office is cold and coworkers are catty, they get cold. If the economy is hot and everyone is panicking, they get feverish. They are a mirror of the chaos around them. But the master is a thermostat. A thermostat doesn't just reflect the room, it sets the room. If the environment drops to a level of negativity or despair, the thermostat detects the shift and kicks on the heat. It maintains a constant, intentional state regardless of what's happening outside the walls. This is emotional regulation. We live in a culture that tells us to follow our feelings. That sounds poetic, but it's a recipe for a fractured life. If you only worked out when you felt like it, you'd be out of shape. If you only treated your partner well when you felt like it, you'd be alone. Feelings are incredible servants, but terrible masters. They are biological data point signals from your nervous system, but they are not commands. Neuroscientist Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor discovered that when a person has an emotional reaction, there is a chemical process that happens in the body that lasts roughly 90 seconds. From the moment the trigger happens to the moment the chemicals are flushed out of your bloodstream, it's a minute and a half. Anything you feel after that 90-second window is a choice. You are literally re-stimulating the circuit. You are choosing to loop the anger or the sadness. When you realize this, you gain a superpower. You can wait out the 90 seconds. You can feel the flush of heat in your face, the tightness in your chest, and you can say, this is a chemical surge. I will wait for the tide to go out before I speak or act. Actionable shift. The state change routine. When you find your thermostat failing, you need a physical override. You cannot think your way out of a bad mood with the same brain that is creating it. You must change the chemistry. 30 seconds of ice-cold water on your face. It triggers the mammalian dive reflex and instantly lowers your heart rate. 2 quick inhales through the nose followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. This is the fastest way to offload carbon dioxide and calm the nervous system. Don't just think of what you're grateful for. Write down 3 things that are specific and recent. Not my health, but the way the coffee smelled this morning. Specificity kills the fog of a bad mood. We need to have a very honest conversation about money. On this channel, improve your mindset. We don't look at money as a status symbol. We look at it as stored energy. If you are constantly stressed about your bank account, you cannot be a master of your mind. It is very hard to meditate when you're wondering if your card will be declined at the grocery store. Poverty is a cognitive load. It takes up mental RAM that should be used for creativity, family, and purpose. Most people treat money emotionally. They get a raise, and they celebrate by increasing their lifestyle. They buy a trophy for a race they haven't finished yet. This is called lifestyle creep, and it is the most effective way to stay a slave. Every time you buy something you don't need to impress people you don't like, you are trading hours of your future freedom for a hit of dopamine that lasts 20 minutes. You aren't buying a car or a watch. You are selling a piece of your 50-year-old self's peace of mind. Money is a tool for know the ultimate value of money is the ability to say yes to a luxury hotel. It's the power to say no to a toxic boss, a bad deal, or a situation that compromises your values. Financial control gives you FU money. Not because you want to be rude, but because you want to be unbuyable. When you have a 6-month emergency fund, your posture changes. You walk differently. You speak with more truth because you aren't terrified of losing your seat at the table. You don't need a complex spreadsheet. You need a freedom formula. 1. The automatic 10%. Before you pay the landlord, the phone company, or the barista, you pay your future self. This goes into an account you do not touch. This is the seed money for your kingdom. To dot the wait 48 rule. For any non-essential purchase over $50, you must wait 48 hours. If the desire is gone after 2 days, it was a dopamine trap. If it's still there, it's a conscious choice. 3. Audit the leaks. Most people don't go broke from one big purchase. They bleed out from 1,000 small cuts. Subscriptions you don't use. Daily conveniences you don't value. Every dollar you reclaim is a soldier returning to your army. Here is the secret that most self-help gurus won't tell you. Self-mastery in about you. When you control your mouth, you stop wounding your children with reactive words. When you control your mind, you become the rock your partner can lean on during a crisis. When you control your mood, you bring peace into a room instead of sucking the air out of it. And when you control your money, you become a person who can fund a cause, help a friend in a dark spot, and build a legacy that outlasts your heartbeat. Personal responsibility is the highest form of altruism. The best thing you can do for the world is to stop being another problem for the world to solve and start being a source of stability. Let's recap the 4 contracts you are signing today. 1. The mouth. I will not speak my fears. I will only speak my intentions. To dot the mind. I will guard the gates of my consciousness. I am the bouncer, not the victim. 3. Dot the mood. I am a thermostat. I set the temperature. I don't just react to the weather. For dot the money. I will treat money a tool for freedom, not a toy for ego. None of this requires a high IQ. It doesn't require a specialized degree. It requires brutal, daily discipline. You are going to fail. You're going to snap at someone. You're going to have a dark thought. You're going to buy something stupid. And when that happens, the old version of you will try to take the wheel. It will say, "See, this improve your mindset stuff is a scam. You haven't changed." Do not listen to that voice. Forgiveness is part of control. When you slip, you don't throw away the whole journey. You just get back in the driver's seat. You pick up the match. You reset the thermostat. The control's in your hands. It always has been. The only question is, are you ready to own the kingdom? Or are you going to let the world pull your strings? If you're ready to take the first step, I want you to comment below with the one pillar you're going to focus on first this week. Is it your mouth, your mind, your mood, or your money? Writing it down is your first act of sovereignty. If this message challenged you, hit that like button and subscribe to improve your mindset. We don't just talk about change here. We build the people capable of making it. Go out there and own your day. Because if you don't, someone else will. I'll see you in the next one.